Welcome to Techstination. Joining us is Melissa Belardi, Chief Academic Officer at Piper. Thank you for joining us, Melissa.
Thank you for having me, Fred. Great to be here.
Well, you've got some brand new stuff to announce today, but first, give folks a little background about Piper and the Piper Computer Kit.
Yeah, absolutely. So Piper is an award-winning ed tech company founded in 2014, and we create computer science and STEAM learning experiences for kids, including our Piper Computer Kit, which is our core product. It's a build-your-own computer experience that includes software that teaches kids about connecting circuitry and how to code using the Raspberry Pi edition of Minecraft, as well as our coding environment called Piper Code.
Now you're building on that, literally, I suppose, with what you're calling the Piper Sensor Explorer. What's it all about?
Yeah. Yeah, so the Piper Sensor Explorer allows the computer kit to go to new lengths to emphasize the S in STEAM. So it's all about hands-on learning with science, and it includes three sensors: a color sensor, an ultrasonic range finder, and a temperature sensor. And with those sensors, kids can play story mode levels where they interact with the sensors to actually collect data to solve challenges and puzzles. And then in Piper Code, they can learn to do interactive coding projects with the sensors by reading and analyzing the data in both graphical and numerical form.
So are these devices that plug into a USB port? How does this all come together?
So just like the other experiences with the Piper Computer Kit, kids are actually authentically wiring up the sensors to the Raspberry Pi that's included in the kit. So they'll have to follow wiring diagrams, or what we call piping mode and story mode, which is a 3D modeling of how to connect the sensors. And they have to troubleshoot and interact with the sensors to ensure they're hooked up correctly. So they would hook them up using jumper wires, 4-pin diode jumper cable, mini breadboard, and the GPIO pins on the Raspberry Pi.
Very cool. So it really gives them an experience of building something, as the whole computer kit does, as opposed to just plugging something in.
Yeah, that's really our stance ideologically and pedagogically as a company. We really believe that kids should make authentic connections and have a hands-on experience with real authentic components. And so, instead of replacing them with quote-unquote kid-friendly things, we actually have them use the authentic components and ensure they're safe, but also ensure that they're learning real engineering skills so they can apply them to creating, anything that they can dream up.
What can they do with these sensors once they've wired them in?
Yeah, so the story mode levels allow them to play our Raspberry Pi edition of Minecraft. And there's three levels, one for each sensor. And the first level is called Chameleon Giant. Our characters, Pip and Piperbot, land on the planet, and it's void of color. And basically what they have to do is calibrate the sensor, which has a metaphor for a giant eye, showing the way that color vision works by the eye absorbing photons of light, red, green, and blue combinations, and then using the photoreceptors or cones in the back of their eye, being able to sense a different color based on that combination. And that allows for the metaphor of how the sensor actually works, where it filters, red, green, and blue wavelengths, and based on the intensity of those, actually shows you the RGB value on the screen and a particular hex code or hue of color. So that's really the learning and understanding that goes on. But what the kids do in the level is they have to recalibrate this giant eye and bring color back to the world, and that's their mission when they're on the world, Chameleon Giant. And then they travel to a world called Post 34 and a half, which is kind of a military type world with a base station, and they use their rangefinder to measure distances and solve puzzles that have to do with frequencies and rates. So kids learn a little bit about how to measure distance, and then based on measuring distance with their rangefinder, they solve puzzles about rate. Once they make it through there, they head to our favorite world, or at least mine, and it's called TerraSense. And on TerraSense, they have to scan objects with different temperatures using their temperature sensor. And when they scan an object with a certain temperature sensor, it allows the water in the world to change phases. And those phase changes are modeled with molecular movements on we call it an emerald wrench, but it's kind of like a data collection tool with energy coming in and out of the system. But what's happening in the world is they're starting to freeze all of the water in the world, which causes some ecological problems. Then they flood the world, causing different ecological problems. And finally, they evaporate all the water, which obviously leaves the land barren, which has another host of environmental issues. So obviously the theme there is to, intervening with the environment or environmental interventions sometimes have consequences. So those are the story mode levels. And then in the Piper Code projects, I'll outline those more briefly. The first is in the color sensor project, they're actually sending a secret message using color. So they code a color to a letter, and they can send a secret message to a friend by scanning an order of colors. And then with the rangefinder, they actually create a security alarm, or we call it a security zone, around their Piper computer kit to protect all of their creative projects and all the progress they've made. And so they have to follow a graphical representation of the distance over time and find the right distance to set the alarm off if people come near their computer kit. And they have to code for that device. And then in the final Piper Code project, which is based around the temperature sensor, they create what we call as a thermostat, where emojis or emotion represents a particular temperature range. And so they map a temperature range. Maybe it's, 80 to 90 degrees Fahrenheit, and maybe they love the heat, so they have, the heart eye emoji representing that. And so if they scan something very warm, you'll see the heart eye emoji popping up. So they're basically creating an emoji thermometer. Which is very fun. So those are the basics of what they can do with the sensors in our software. And then following that, they can head to My Projects in Piper Code and create their own projects.
Sounds neat. So it really is open-ended what the kids are going to be able to do with all of this.
Absolutely. Yeah, we want to give them the building blocks and then allow them to use, design thinking and their imaginations to create.
Tell us about pricing and availability.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Piper Sensor Explorer is $49. We will also be offering the Sensor Explorer in a bundle with the Piper Computer Kit, and it is available for purchase on our website starting today.
Terrific. And for folks who are interested in buying the whole kit, may not have one already, tell us about pricing there.
Yeah, so the Piper Sensor Explorer bundled with the Piper Computer Kit will be $299.
Very cool. For more info, where's the best place to go?
So you can head to our website, www.playpiper.com.
Melissa Belardi, thank you so much for taking the time with us, and congratulations on what you're doing there.
Thanks so much, Fred, and thanks for the interview.
Now this. How many companies out there have continued to innovate when it comes to building a better radio? I'm Fred Fishkin, host of Techstination, and I'm here to tell you about the new CC Skywave SSB radio from the wonderful people at C. Crane. Bob and his crew really love radio, and it shows in this new compact model that is packed with features. Beyond great AM and FM reception and sound, you can tune into shortwave signals from around the world. Listen to ham radio operators, aviation, and more. It's the radio you'll turn to every day and in emergencies. It will run for nearly 3 days on just 2 AA batteries. Pair the sleep timer with the new Soft Speaker 3, and you've got the perfect radio for your nightstand. Of course, it can wake you up too. Click on Crane at Techstination.com and put in the code Techstination for a free flashlight with your order. They love radio, and you'll love C. Crane.